You ever notice how the older you get, the more you become a walking library of people who aren't here anymore? I'll be sitting in my chair, watching the evening news or just looking out the window, and something small will trigger it. A song on the radio, the smell of coffee brewing a certain way, and suddenly I'm remembering something from 50, 60 years ago. Something funny that happened, something sweet, something that mattered, and I'll smile to myself. And then I'll realize there's nobody left to call who would remember it with me. Nobody left who was there. My name is Arthur. I'm 80 years old, and I've been thinking a lot lately about what it means to outlive the people who knew you best. Not just miss them, that's a given, but what it does to you when the witnesses to your life, when they're gone, when you're the last one standing who remembers certain things, certain versions of yourself, certain days that shaped everything that came after. It's a particular kind of loneliness, and nobody really talks about it. I had a friend named Danny. We grew up 3 houses apart. Met when we were 7 years old. He moved onto the street in the summer, and by September, we were inseparable. We did everything together. Rode bikes until the street lights came on. Built a tree house that barely held together. Got in trouble for things I won't repeat here. Laughed until our stomachs hurt over jokes that probably weren't even that funny. But when you're young and you've got a friend like that, everything's funny. Everything's an adventure. Danny knew me before I knew myself. Before I figured out who I was supposed to be. He knew the version of me that existed before life got complicated. We stayed close through high school. Drifted a bit when I went into the service, and he went to work at his dad's shop. But we always came back around. Even when I got married, even when he moved 2 towns over, we stayed in touch. Not every week, not even every month sometimes, but the kind of friendship where you pick up right where you left off, where you don't have to explain yourself. Danny passed away 11 years ago, heart attack. Sudden. He was 69. I went to the funeral, saw people I hadn't seen in decades. His kids gave lovely speeches. His wife was strong, the way you have to be in those moments. But what I remember most was standing there looking at old photos they'd put up on a board near the entrance, pictures of Danny through the years. And there was one of the 2 of us, maybe 12 years old, sitting on the front steps of his house, grinning like idiots, covered in mud from head to toe. I stared at that picture for a long time, because I was the only person left in the world who remembered that day. His wife wasn't there. His kids weren't born yet. The other neighborhood boys from back then, most of them gone or moved away, or we'd lost touch decades ago. It was just me, and I realized when I go, that day disappears completely. The memory of it, the feeling of it, gone. That hit me harder than I expected. I'm not saying this to be morbid. I'm saying it because it's real. When you live long enough, you become the keeper of things nobody else is holding anymore. You carry people, moments, whole chapters of life that existed, that mattered, that were full of noise and laughter and meaning, and now they're quiet. They live in you, only in you, and sometimes you'll be going about your day, doing something completely ordinary, and you'll remember something, some little thing. Like the way Danny used to drum his fingers on a dashboard when we'd drive around. Always offbeat, drove me crazy. Or the way he'd show up at my door unannounced, holding 2 cups of coffee just because. Or the time we got lost trying to find a fishing spot somebody told us about, and we ended up laughing so hard we forgot why we were even mad. Little things. Things that shaped the texture of my life. And there's nobody to say, hey, remember when? Nobody to laugh with. Nobody to say, oh man, I forgot about that. It's just me, sitting with it. I think that's one of the parts of aging people don't prepare you for. You expect to lose people. You know that's coming. But you don't expect to become a museum of memories that nobody else can visit. You don't expect the loneliness of being the last one who knows. I'll tell you something else. It changes the way you see yourself. Because so much of who we are, it's built in relation to other people. The way they see us, the way they remember us, the stories they tell about us. Danny remembered me as brave, even though I didn't always feel that way. He'd bring up things I did as a kid, things I'd forgotten, and he'd say, you were always the bold one. And maybe I wasn't. Maybe I was just trying to keep up with him. But his memory of me, it became part of how I saw myself. When he died, I lost that mirror. I lost the person who remembered a younger version of me, the one who still had all that energy and hope, the one who hadn't made all the mistakes yet. Now, I'm the only one who holds that version, and sometimes I wonder, was I really like that? Or am I just remembering it the way I want to? There's nobody left to check with. I don't have advice for this, not really. I don't think there's a way to fix it. But I do think it helps to name it, to say it out loud. This is part of what happens when you live a long life. You become the last keeper of certain things, and that's heavy. But it's also kind of sacred, if you think about it. Those memories, those people, those days, they still matter because you're still here, because you still carry them. Maybe that's enough. Maybe the fact that I can still see Danny's grin in my mind, still hear the way he laughed, maybe that means he's not entirely gone. Maybe I'm not just carrying the memories. Maybe I'm keeping him alive in some small way. I like to think that. I like to think that as long as I'm here, that day we sat on his porch covered in mud, that day still exists somewhere. Not on paper, not in a history book, but in me. And when I'm gone, maybe it'll be okay that it goes too. Maybe that's just how it works. We carry each other for as long as we can, and then we let go, and that's all right. I guess what I'm saying is, if you're at this stage of life and you've noticed this feeling creeping in, you're not alone in it. A lot of us are walking around carrying whole worlds that nobody else can see, carrying people, carrying days, carrying versions of ourselves we'll never be again. And it's sad, yeah, but it's also beautiful because it means we loved. It means we were there. It means those people mattered enough to stay with us even after they're gone. That's something that's worth holding on to. I'm Arthur, and I'll keep carrying it as long as I'm here.